I need to weigh in. I have to. YouTube, Facebook, they're very interesting in how they censor people for having a factually different viewpoint on topics like spherical heating, COVID-19, racism, the works. People get censored for disagreeing with the holy see of the metaverse, the Google verse, the YouTube verse, and for a while it was the Twitter verse, controlled by leftist leaning people who deny absolute truth. Isn't that ironic? So now you have on Facebook digital and video creators that are gamers that respond to the police. Police respond to a call, and you got these Karens out there. And the internet is just filling with them on Facebook. Some idiot who uses profanity talks to people in a way thinking he's tough, talking to people in a way that in any other instant could get him beat up. Going up to police and saying, you don't have an effing right to tell me to be quiet. You don't have an effing right to tell me to go away. Interfering with a police officer questioning somebody, and some clown comes up yelling and screaming, and the police said, excuse me, you're obstructing. Obstructing is only physical. It doesn't mean me talking. Let me say a couple things. Yes, there are cops that are arrogant. I don't get into trouble with the police, but 1980s, I was driving my pickup in Arizona. I had a bunch of other, young adults in the back. We had a trash can full of water balloons. And as was custom in Prescott, Arizona, we would go up and down Gurley Street and people throw water balloons. People be standing up out of the limousine sunroof and people cruise up and down and back and forth and, small town stuff. I got pulled over. I was in the wrong. Somebody had tried to climb in the back of my truck, and there were so many people sitting in there. And they said, wait, somebody's trying to get in. And I waited. It was heavy traffic, 4 lanes on Gurley. And so we said, okay, you can go. She's in. And I went to go. And I couldn't tear off. There was too many people in the truck. It was really weighting it down. I couldn't see out my side mirrors. And the girl fell, rolled onto her back, but she was fine. And I heard the siren. I turned off on a side street. Everybody jumped out of the truck and ran except my 2 closest friends. They said it wasn't his fault. And the officer came out cussing and yelling, and a white officer, and he was cussing and yelling. And black people like to say that all cops are racist and they're picked on. There are good cops and there are bad cops. And I was compliant. I pulled out my license. I didn't give the guy an attitude. I didn't have loud music on. I shut off the truck, and I did. And the guy was cussing and threatening, and you better not be out here again. I said, sir, I have to deliver the paper at 2:00 this morning. That'll be Sunday morning, and I have to pick up the bundles and deliver them. But a couple lessons I learned back then that I already knew. You're not going to mouth off to the cop. Whether he's a jerkosaurus or not, you're not going to do that. No, he didn't have a right to talk to me that way. All he needs to do is be calm and say, you had all these people sitting on the back of your truck. When you went to leave, a girl fell off. But he talked very rude, forceful, cussing, yelling. I'm sitting there like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. He wrote on the ticket, obstructed view. That's it. It carried a very minimal fine. He could have written me for more. He could have written me for more. Guys throwing water balloons out the back of the truck. Too many people in the back of the truck. Girl falling off the back of the truck. The girl even came up and said it wasn't my fault. But it was my fault. I'm a good driver today because I started driving commercial motor vehicles in 1989, and I changed the way I drive. I would never go down the street with a trash can full of water balloons and all them people sitting in the back of my truck anymore, ever. But it bothered me the way the cop talked to me, but I was not going to rise up and meet that ego with ego. The Bible says something interesting. It says, submit to the governing authorities. And we've got people in this country that don't submit to anybody. You got douchebags on the internet that attract a following of douchebags that hate the police, hate authority. They want to undermine all of culture. They want to turn everything upside down. And God forbid the day ever come when those same people turn on the douchebags that think this is funny, and then they want the cops to save their butts. We live in a strange world, people. A very strange world. People learn one or two things about law and they want to test the police. You do not have the right to go up to a young woman or a male officer or cadet and say, F you, and cuss them out. They're asking you to move away. And what I see is people have nothing to do in this country but to poke the bear. And I've said this. I said this in Denver with bad drivers. There are people that get in their cars with the intent to fuck with society. I have a female friend in the middle of a very bad relationship. She's on the verge of filing for divorce. Her husband said to her, I like to fuck with people. I'm going to say something about American men. We got a ton of those kind of people in this country. They're scumbags. It's funny to fuck with people until somebody else has that same mentality and fucks you over. That's that Darwinian evolutionary, the survival of the smartassiest, until somebody else comes along and goes and caps your ass. I don't believe in fucking with authorities. Not your boss, the police, people in authority. You close your mouth. You do what you're supposed to do and go find something to do. But you got digital creators out there that they go out uploading these videos with thug, pothead, gamer, break the law, idiot culture. Oh yeah, this is good. You showed the police. I got a problem with that. Even if the officer is unprofessional, rude, I promise you this, if you shut your mouth and you comply, he's more likely to reduce your ticket. But you got to be a butthole and you got to challenge. But what about the guys I'm talking about? They're not even in the fiasco and they're just causing a problem. They showed a guy, of all places, pulled up at an elementary school. Went to go in, there was a black female security lady out. I'm sorry, sir, you cannot go in there without an ID. And she went to put her hand up and he's like, don't effing touch me. Don't touch me. You don't have a right to touch me. She goes, you cannot go in this school. The guy went on and on, wrangling and ranting about his right to the law. This is a public institution. I have a right to get a written record. She was actually a cop, excuse me. She called, other cops showed up, and they said to him, and the black lady was handling herself perfectly. And the guy says, why are you coming to it? This is a school with kids in it. You got kids in here? No. Then what are you doing here? This is not the place for this. And you raise a red flag when you're going to act like this. You need to move off the school grounds. Well, this is public property. He says, yeah, no, it isn't. There's children here, and I can ask you have to go out the sidewalk. And the guy was just being an ass, saying he knows law, asking the cop name and badge number. But when the cop asks him to show license, I don't have to show you license. I don't have to tell you my name. Why is America full of people that just want to be dicks? I see it all day long in this country. And I talk a lot about women, but there's a factor that we need to start addressing. Why are so many men in America dicks? They just get up to be a dick. They're going to challenge, confront, be obtuse, and be a penis. Why is that? I mean, not all women are wrong. There's a lot of men in this country that suck. They're idiots. They get up with the intent of being an ass. Said my friend's soon-to-be ex-husband. He likes fucking with people. His father and his grandfather were both mean. I've seen it. Men can't leave well enough alone. If you look different, you're going to get harassed. If you're not just like them, you'll be treated as the runt of the litter. I personally going to tell you that in the years, I've actually found it easier to make friends overseas in Pakistan, Hong Kong, the Philippines, and Africa than I do in America with males. They're nicer, they're politer. You can have a discussion. Now, I have American friends here. They agree with my viewpoints. I have quite a few of them. But they don't act like a lot of the men that I know in this culture. Why do people fuck with the police? I have no interest in fucking with the police. To be honest with you, I don't want anything to do with the law officers. Why? Because I don't want to go to prison. I don't wear that shit as a badge. I don't even get a parking ticket. I want to live my life. I want to live and let live. And I don't want to get into that drama and that bullshit. But you got people, they feeling ballsy and brave, cussing at female and male officers, just trying to do their job. What would that guy do if I walked up to him on the street and said, fuck you? He'd want to fight. See, they can dish the shit out, but they can't take it. And that's when I wish somebody come up with these digital dildo creators, because that's all they are. And I'd like to see somebody else come up with a helmet cam and go, hey, bud, shut the fuck up. You're an idiot. Our country. And one of them claims to be a gamer. And I said this years ago, my biggest harassment on the internet has come from Game Boy geeks, obsessed with violent video games, role-playing games. And when you start talking about them, watch what happens. They're geeks on steroids and they come after you. They don't contribute anything good to the society around them. They're just assholes, talking tough, threatening, intimidating. How did we get to a place in America where we're raising these kind of people? I don't know. Basement dwellers. And now you got people want to mess with the police. Think they can say whatever they want. Think that they have a constitutional right to cuss at, interfere with a cop questioning somebody. And the guy's even saying, yeah, without that badge and that taser and that gun, you're nothing. Really? Why don't you go to that officer's house and mess with him? He'll come out and tear you up. I don't believe in walking up to John Q. Public and playing that game. I really believe that if I want less trouble in my life, don't fuck with people. Even in traffic, somebody does something dumb, you honk the horn. You don't hold the horn down and drive 10 miles. You honk and let them know, okay, you're an idiot. But you keep it rolling. But you got Karen males out there. They know this much law and they know how far they can push the buttons. And they stand there videoing it while they're antagonizing and baiting people. The Bible talks about fathers do not provoke your children to wrath. Let me tell you something, society. You can say you don't believe in God and all that, but you're provoking people. You're pushing buttons on purpose. Why don't you let us push your buttons? Let's turn off your power and shut down your video games. Let's bang on the doors of your house and bang on your windows and keep you awake all night. You talk about knowing law, but what you're doing is harassing people. And what is sad in this country is these clowns are breaking through. This young generation that contributes nothing, that they can't have a video channel talking about anything intelligent, their video channel showing them acting like a horse's ass to the police, and then turning it around saying, look at the dumbass police, look at the dumbass police, don't know their laws, can't deal with us. And running back home to their little basement dwelling and thinking they're brave. I've said it before, I don't like a lot of American males. They're a damn mess. I like men that are humble. I like men that are hardworking. Game boys that support that kind of stuff, internet harassment and trolling, no, I don't support that. Why should I? One of these days, and it can't come soon enough, these people are going to find out you pushed too far, and God Almighty is going to stand up and say, you know what? Today's your day, buddy. Bible says, submit to the governing authorities, give respect to whom respect is due. If an officer tells you to move out of the way, if an officer tells you to back up, you shut up and you do what he says. But you stand there and harass the police and think you're a man. How does that work in this culture? I've said it. We've got a new brand of mental disorders. We've got a lot of people on meds. We got people that don't read the Bible. We got people that don't stand up for truth or values. They play video games all day and they want to go out and be violent and confrontational because they think that they can. That's not a quality human being. That's a piece of catbox turd with sand all over it. And anybody that would go up to the police for the purpose of fucking with them, I wish the police had the right to say, you know what? You are messing with us. You're harassing us. This is harassment. We're doing our job. This is a public street, a public sidewalk. We're responding to a call. Put the cuffs on them. Put them in the car. And what our legal system is doing, thanks to the Democrats and litigious attorneys, is they're hand strapping and cock blocking authority from being able to do their jobs. When they started saying defund the police, when they told the police in Minneapolis, don't do anything about the riots, don't stop them. Are you fucking serious? When you allow this stuff to go on, you are tearing down the walls of sanity. You are paving the way for anarchy. You're paving the way for your own demise, you morons. Because somebody bigger and less fearful than you just say, I don't give a fuck about the law, you little pissant. And might is going to make right. So if you want to play by stupid rules, you win stupid prizes. And one day somebody's going to cold cock you and put you in your place. And in that regard, maybe we need to go back to the 40s when you, a grown man, are just harassing men and women and running your mouth and cussing at somebody's mother and somebody's father and somebody's uncle who's doing their job. I'd like to see a man or a woman come up and go, you know what, you piece of shit, shut up. And this is what bothers me. is idiots in this country got more rights and more entitlement and more privilege than those that do right. If you don't want trouble with the police, do what you're supposed to do. Follow the speed limit, use your blinkers, maintain following distance. I live in an area of the country where the police drive horrible here. But I'm not going to pull up next to them and say, wow, I see you didn't use your turn signal, you're on the speed limit. I do look over at them. Inside, I'm just like, wow, poor example. But I'm not going to confront them. I'm not going to make a citizen's arrest. You put a target on your back. You could call their offices, but when they're all doing that, you know nothing's going to be done. So you just shake your head inside and just say, keep it moving. It's disturbing to see grown men, individuals that think they can shit talk women and men in uniform. I don't agree with that. Minneapolis mayor looked like a version of Joel Osteen encouraging the riots, saying it's just a building when the precinct was burned to the ground and tore up. Hubcaps, bricks flying at officers' head that had nothing to do with the issue at hand. They were just taking it out on all the police and making a racist blanket statement that all cops are systemically racist. This coming from a group of people that said that we are not supposed to stereotype. And they're stereotyping all police as systemically racist and whites as systemically racist. KKK. Please. This is what happens when you have bad leadership. This is what happens when you let the attorneys take over instead of law take over. Interfering with, yelling at, disturbing the peace on a public sidewalk in front of homes, yelling and cussing at. That is verbal abuse. And it should be against the law for anybody to go up to an officer who's doing her job and say, fuck you, shut the fuck up. That's somebody's mother. That's somebody's sister. Yeah, you're all about your rights, but what about theirs? What about their feelings? What you are is an asshole. And anybody who fucks with and harasses the police deserves to get arrested and thrown in the pokey. I don't understand this stuff. I don't understand it. I never thought I'd see the day with social media, the media in general, go so far south and cater to and give a platform to thugs, scofflaws, malcontents, and losers that can do whatever they want and get all the views with people just like them, birds of a feather, pigeoning together, creating trash, garbage, and disrespect culture, failing to realize that it could fall back on themselves at one point in time. Somebody come up to them and go, I don't care about your feelings and your law, little boy. Go back to your gamer. Shut the fuck up. You get what you project. And you may get away with it now. A lot of Americans are getting away with murder today. But God. Anytime you see that word in the scripture, but God, you better pay attention. God allows free will, but he's sovereign. And one day he will stand up and he'll end you and everything else. It can't come soon enough. It's scary. I have started blocking anybody who posts all these harassing of the police videos, lying, saying things that are untrue, even titles, sensationalistic titles, entitled Black Cop. A black cop that said, excuse me, you have to have an ID to go into this building. And the game is on with a man who's going to try to bully, intimidate, and trash talk a black cop. The black cop handled herself very well. And there needs to be a law about provoking, antagonizing. And the US has been silent about that, except in cases of a divorce. Harassing anybody, whether it's online, at school, in the job, on the streets, and in your car, tailgating, driving over the line behind you and staring and glaring into the mirror, communicating, you better move out of my way. Harassment needs to stop. I did something aggressive the other day because it was ridiculous. I was going somewhere and a woman didn't use a turn signal. 3 different times she turned in front of me, going slower than molasses, stopping in the middle of the way. But I didn't tailgate, I didn't honk. She stopped all the way over to the left in a parking lot and I gunned it and passed her on the right. I didn't stare, glare, flip her off, honk. But you got people out there that get up in America every day just to piss in somebody's Cheerios. Those are disturbed people. And it goes right back to my thing. When I see that these guys who are doing this are bragging that they're gamers as well, is there a connection between violent, senseless video games and shit behavior? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen living proof of when I talked about the correlation of violent behavior and video games, and I attracted one of the bloated fools of the internet who's inflated with 50, 60,000 subs with no content of any construct at all. Attack me, say things just like these guys that cause fuck Pacific, fuck this, fuck that. We're raising a generation of Neanderthals. We're raising a generation of people who are begging somebody to put a steel-toed boot in their face. Leave the cops alone. Quit fucking with the police. You will be held accountable by God. Whether you like it or not, God put authority in place for a reason. And it's because of people like these pond scum out there that now are legends in their own mind that don't show their faces. That want to fuck with people out there. Internet cowards, digital creators. You're not a digital creator, you're a dumpster diver. Scraping filth off the bottom of the dumpster and going, look. And the only people looking and laughing and guffawing are the ones that slide around in the dumpster with you. And watch them get pissed at what I say here. You shouldn't be fucking with anybody. That's a disturbed characteristic of a disturbed soul and a disturbed mind. And I will say this, you are following in the footsteps of Satan. That's not a good thing, and that is not a contribution to society. All these anti-activists have issues. Thank you for listening.